All right, we figured it out. After some technical difficulties, Rule of Two, episode 55 is here. We're going to go right past that cold open because I got a special... Well, I have Dennis Tzeng joining me in for Marc Fernandez, but Marc Fernandez is going to join us by phone to talk a little bit up top here. Rule of Two, episode 55 coming at you.
Rise.
Yes. Well, we did it. I'm just going in. It's Rule of Two, episode 55. I have Dennis Tzeng joining me for Marc Fernandez. But before Marc Fernandez goes on some Sith business, you're there, aren't you? Master, are you there?
I'm here. Look, it's good to be on. I want to apologize to everybody that was in the other chat room. I thought it got out almost up to 500 folks.
Yep.
And hopefully they'll join us over here. But... yeah, man, it's been quite the whirlwind Star Wars weekend. It
sure has. We did do a special kind of Rule of Two breaking news collider video on Friday. Fernandez and myself talked about Obi-Wan, the Mandalorian trailer. We were jazzed for this. We were excited. So, Dennis, the Mandalorian, did you like the trailer? What did you think of it off the top?
Oh, I loved the trailer.
Yeah.
It was everything that I was hoping it would be. They promised an old Western and samurai feel to it.
Yep.
And that's what we got. And now we just got to wait till November 12th to see if they actually execute on that. But it's everything that we were kind of hoping, especially for some of us who are looking for a darker, more mature Star Wars. I think that's what we wanted. Loved it.
And I said this, to start this Mandalorian trailer, the flagship show of the Disney Plus with stormtroopers' heads on stakes. That to me was like, well, we're getting an adult kind of oriented Star Wars show. The first live action, Fernandez, you felt the same way. You're giddy, you're excited. The Obi-Wan news got us most excited. But since I have you here and you're leaving soon, I want to get your thoughts, Fernandez, on Rise of Skywalker and the trailer that we saw today. What were your thoughts, my friend?
Okay,
boy, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, so look. It all started on Friday, like you said, with this amazing news that we got, this incredible trailer that I can't get enough of with The Mandalorian. I posted on Twitter that I thought that was Hondo and Carbonite.
Yeah.
Some people were with me, some people weren't with me. I think it looked a lot like Hondo. If you're a Clone Wars fan, it's going to look like Hondo. It's going to look like Hondo to you, no matter what. I also heard that maybe it's the character played by Werner Herzog or whatever, but needless to say, the guy getting his sliced in half by that circular door thing, like you said, the head's on the spikes, a little blood on top of the helmet. I mean, this was everything that I could have wanted in a Mandalorian. But I do want to address one thing.
Okay,
are you guys still with me? I do want to address one thing.
We're with you.
On Friday, I said it was IG-88 and that it reminded me of Star Wars Galaxies and the awesome race there is to beat IG-88 and all this stuff. And everybody, is correcting me that it's IG-11.
IG-11, is that confirmed, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that too.
I know that the character in the show is called IG-11, and I know that the character in the show is called the Mandalorian. But let's be honest with each other, okay? That's Boba Fett, and that's IG-88.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a proxy, okay? They're trying to invent new characters and new stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the mental equity in our mind about what it is that we're watching and why we can already relate to it and get excited about it is because of the bedrock of two amazing characters, two amazing bounty hunters, Boba Fett and IG-88. So yes, they're called IG-11, and God knows what the Mandalorian's name is going to be. But come on, it's Boba Fett and IG-88.
You especially bring up Fernandez and Dennis. Let me get your take on this. That image of like the door opening and the silhouette of the Mandalorian and IG-11. Those are, to quote you, Fernandez, silhouettes of IG-88 and Boba Fett. I mean, if you were to just take that out of context and not know anything about the Mandalorian and you put it out there, you would say it's IG-88 and Boba Fett. But details.
Yeah.
We get it. So are you mad that maybe Dennis and Fernandez, I want to ask you both, would it have done something different if it was confirmed it was IG-88? Because Taika Waititi, I believe, shared, or Jon Favreau shared on Instagram, art that looked like IG-88, and everybody went, IG-88's in The Mandalorian. So does it matter to you, Dennis?
No, it doesn't matter because originally, you remember, they were going to make a Boba Fett movie, a spin-off movie, and that got canceled.
Got canceled.
I think, who was supposed to work on that? I can't
James
forget.
Mangold was going to do the Boba Fett movie.
The great James Mangold.
Yep.
Yeah, of Logan. And,
Logan, coming off of Logan before Bright,
Yeah.
I think that's when some of the news was right around there. That's one that I'm gonna miss.
So
that could be very cool to see.
Yeah, so they canceled that, and so they have this in its place. So yeah, it is definitely those two characters, but reimagined in a sort of way. And actually, reading some of the things, they're saying that IG-11, in not just that we think he looks like IG-88, or we think like in the story, in the context of the Mandalorian, people in the show are going to think he's IG-88.
Oh, that's kind of
It's
funny.
going to be like a thing.
A thing. And then some people in the chat room are saying that Taika Waititi is playing IG-11.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, that gets me excited. Does that change anything for you, Fernandez?
No, look, I'm excited no matter what. I'm
Yeah.
excited about this show no matter what. I think that the trailer speaks for itself. I think that the creative team around it speaks for itself. I'm excited about this show.
Right.
But, we should all be intellectually honest with each other and say, yeah, this is Boba Fett and IG-88. I mean, it is what it is. It's like, which actually gives a little credence to the whole rumor mill that was out there about George Lucas still having some financial considerations with his older, with his characters, and that's why Star Wars is veering away from them. I kind of took that as just internet nonsense, but seeing this makes me wonder, maybe there's some truth to that.
Well, I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that one either, because that intellectual property that Lucas has on the Star Wars universe, not just characters, but they would have gotten rid of the Millennium Falcon a long time ago if that were the case. And the Millennium Falcon is front and center in all of this. So I'm still not buying it. I'm still thinking that they might have plans, at least for the IG-88 and Boba Fett names. They might have plans later on down the line for a streaming service, maybe a movie if they ever get there again. But that's just my take on it.
I think it's hard though to do that because, like Mark says, if they're doing this instead of that, what's going to be different about a Boba Fett movie with IG-88? They're doing it with this already, so there's nothing that different.
Well,
and they'll probably copy the same tone and feel. I'm sure they borrowed a lot of stuff from, just like they borrowed a lot of stuff from like Legends. They're just taking stuff in and moving it around, changing it around. So I don't know. I don't foresee that in the future, or at least near future.
Well, look. Sorry to cut you guys off.
No, go for
it. Because I'm limited for time. The airlock is running out of air. I got to get the hell out of here.
You got to get out.
Everything shuts down around me.
Then I got to have your thoughts, at least a little bit, on the rise of Skywalker here.
Absolutely. That's what I'm going to jump into.
Okay.
So look, Friday and Saturday, or Friday night, I should say, I was in a Star Wars high. I had like a 3-hour conversation with Jeremy Johns where we were just riffing and going back and forth about Mandalorian and Obi-Wan and all the speculation around that and all the excitement around that stuff. And then comes Saturday, D23 starts off with Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot discussed from what I saw from afar, but they did release a poster that to me looked like a poster for the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I see that.
Like,
it does look like it, at least the animation, the way it's the Emperor hanging out in the background that I thought looks the most cartoonish. But then did you see this? Somebody changed it to look like the Revenge of the Jedi poster, the original one sheet before Lucas changed it, like the pixelated kind of dots that kind of form an image. So I liked that version of it. But real quick, Fernandez.
Look, it can't be the final poster. It can't be the final poster.
No.
I mean, Star Wars has a legacy of doing posters by that gentleman. I forget his name. He did Indiana Jones.
Drew Struzan.
Yeah, Drew Struzan. This was handed out at D23. So I believe that was a special thing for everybody in attendance.
Yeah. Just like at Celebration, we all got that poster that was really cool looking of Rey with the lightsaber.
Yeah, and it was Luke and Kylo Ren.
Great poster.
Yeah.
Okay, so they tell us that this trailer's coming in on Monday. Great. Monday morning, comes around. Of course, I'm there at the crack of dawn to watch this thing, and it opens up very similar to the Revenge of the Sith teaser trailer,
right?
Where you get all of that old school, Star Wars sort of lead up, the end of a saga. Every beginning has an end. And
I call it the legacy trailer. It's giving you everything that came before to set you up for this.
Yeah, and then you get the actual footage from Rise of Skywalker. And yes, I was happy to see lightsabers clashing. Yes, I was happy to see Darkseid Rey, even though I'm so friggin' confused about what the hell's going on in this movie. It doesn't make me. It doesn't connect me to The Last Jedi. It doesn't connect me a lot more with The Force Awakens than The Last Jedi. It feels like everything we thought when we were riffing, Dennis, and we were riffing Reilly about what The Last Jedi could be like, feels like what I'm seeing in this current trailer. So look, at the end of the day, I am glad that J.J. Abrams is back in the helm, because there's some visual elements that J.J. brings to the table that I think are just astonishing. Kylo walking towards the camera and his lightsaber igniting, the speed that it ignites, the kind of, he adds a lot of visual and sound texture to things that are very, very cinematic and very epic. And I'm glad that he's back for those kinds of things.
Right.
But my God, does this movie have a lot of explaining to do?
Well, we've been saying that from the start. There's a lot of ground to cover, at least with some of the loose ends, right, Dennis? It's like Fernandez and I have been talking. We want to know a little bit about what's Snoke. Why was Snoke there? Why was Snoke cut in half by Kylo Ren to usurp his power? And how does that come in with the Emperor? But I want to circle back, Fernandez, because it sounds like you're confused because you see Force Awakens, but you're not really referencing The Last Jedi. So it doesn't feel very cohesive for you to go from Last Jedi to this Rise of Skywalker look. Is that what I'm getting from you?
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of the connective tissues with The Last Jedi in the trailer. I mean, again, we get it, Luke. You taught Rey 1,000 years worth of Jedi knowledge in 3 days or whatever, 3 hours, however long Rey was there. She has the 1,000 years of knowledge inside of her. Like, they keep repeating that one kind of VO thing, which is kind of maybe like a Band-Aid for the fact that we've never seen Rey really train in the ways of the Force. We do get a little bit of a tease of her, which I thought was, again, another great visual scene of Rey training in the woods. Like those little balls are there, those little training droids are there, and she throws the saber and it cuts the tree in half, and she catches it again. Maybe that catch of the saber was the only kind of Last Jedi-esque move that we saw, right? Reminiscent of her catching the saber. Did she catch the saber when she killed when they killed Snoke?
I think didn't she throw?
Did, right?
Yeah, she caught it.
Yeah,
she caught it.
Yeah,
Kylo Ren used the
so
Ford, and she caught it.
But look, all in all, I'm very intrigued by the whole dark side. Oh God, the cops are coming after me now. Hold on, I gotta run and hide here. Okay.
Oh my God, you got the Galaxy
intrigued.
Police after you. What are you doing?
I'm very, very intrigued by Darkseid Rey. I don't have a lot of theories about what it is because there's no setup for it, right? Like the setup was there, and it was there for Episode 8, where she hears the dark side calling her. I've heard some great theories from Reilly, from Dennis, that this is a moment in the cave where she's fighting a clone or an image of herself.
That's where I'm going. That Darkseid Rey is a clone, and it was set up in Episode 8 when she goes into the cave and she sees all the different rays, and they snap.
I actually hope it's something like that versus
a vision.
Because everyone's like, oh, okay, it's gonna be a cop out. It's just gonna be a vision, and it's not really gonna exist. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah,
because it's like.
Oh, sure.
Because it's
So
just
look-
like, oh, okay, well, then you can put anything in a vision.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of visions or
I'm not
dream
either.
sequences
It's
in
all a
general.
dream
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff. I want the real thing, and if it's clone, and I think that's where they're going, and I think that has to do with Palpatine somehow and the Sith troopers. I think he's been building clones. Fernandez, do you have to go? I want to make sure you're still here.
Yeah, so look, I'm still here, but like there is one more thing I want to address, and somebody in the comments just said it perfect.
Okay.
And it's this whole creepio thing. So
Yeah.
so C3PO couldn't sell enough toys when he had a. So now maybe he's going to sell more toys with red eyes. The new creepio. First of all, whoever came up with creepio is a freaking genius. I'm sure that's maybe out there already, but like what a funny name.
Creepio.
C3PO with the red eyes. Look, at the end of the day, it's exciting for there to be so much Star Wars stuff. For about 24 hours, we all felt united under the Star Wars banner, and then this, Episode 9 thing kind of poked me the wrong way again because it reminded me of the things that I'm not so happy about with where the movie franchise is going. But one thing is for sure. The excitement is there, and we're all so pumped about all of this Star Wars stuff that's coming out. And that's what gets me the most excited. And, I can't wait. I can't wait for the next few months to unfold so that we can keep talking. I can collect my thoughts on the trailer a little bit more. Maybe we're going to get a real trailer at some point soon,
Yeah.
maybe in Monday Night Football, like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm pumped. Whether or not I'm not loving some of the things I've seen in Rise of Skywalker, I do love, Dark Rey only because I want to see more of that, Sithness inside the franchise. But, look, man, it's a good time to be a Star Wars fan.
Well, I like it. You turned positive on that, so I'll allow it. That's good. Because I'm excited about it. Obviously, you know me. I love the sequel trilogy so far. I'm enjoying all of it, and I'm glad to hear, Fernandez, that you are open to this. We've talked about this all the time on Rule of Two. Dennis, get your thoughts on this. We want to love it. We want the fans to unite behind it. Where we're hoping that this is the movie that comes out. Won't happen, but this is the movie that comes out, and we're all kind of together on it. Like that, just universally, we're like, yeah, okay.
Well, it's definitely. I'm pretty sure it's going to be less divisive than The Last Jedi.
I think so.
Just because I know JJ has heard the criticisms, and then now he's going to kind of, with Marc saying, yeah, I didn't have many ties to Last Jedi. JJ is going to retcon a bunch of stuff.
See, I don't think he will.
I think he is.
I think he'll just kind of focus on elements of Star Wars that will get us excited.
Okay, like for
retconning.
example, Palpatine. Was he ever in the original plan? This is the thing I complain the most.
Right.
Like, I'm a person who quite enjoyed The Force Awakens, and I like Last Jedi not as much as The Force Awakens.
Sure.
But the one thing that I always harp on is the fact that they never really prepared this story or this trilogy whatsoever. They're like, okay, let's just do the first movie and get to the second one, and we'll hand it off to someone else, and then they'll do it. It's like, this is not a baton passing. Like,
No.
do the trilogy. You should know what the story is from point A to point B, and then fill it in. Instead, they were like, okay, well, we're going to do this and that. And so that's why with this third one, I think JJ is going to retcon a bunch of stuff that he had nothing to do with, and for good or bad or whatever. And like Palpatine, I don't know when did that come into play. Like when did Palpatine like
at Celebrations, Kathleen Kennedy and JJ said that they had always wanted to include the Emperor and that they were just waiting for the right moment, and that moment came in Rise of Skywalker. I don't know how they're going to do this. That's a big question mark. And I think something when Fernandez says there's a lot of explaining to do, and I bring up Snoke because that was how we started with this. It was Snoke. Oh, he's the new Emperor, or he's the new baddie. So how is he tied in there? And now that the Emperor is there, we got a lot of people that were like, oh my God, The Last Jedi sucked. So they're retconning and they're bringing back the Emperor and, creatively bankrupt and all these different things. I argue this, the Emperor is the one thing that unites the entire saga. He was the puppet master in the prequels. He was then the big baddie, one of the big baddies, holding Vader's leash in the trilogy, the original trilogy. Now he's back to wrap up the saga. There's something there. And there's some more stuff. There's some more theories out there about the Emperor and how he could be there. Kind of a version of it is we have Force Ghosts with Obi-Wan, and Luke is going to be a Force Ghost and all this kind of stuff. the dark side might be haunting a certain area, i.e., the Death Star wreckage, and that's how he's been able to do this. That's just a theory right now. Fernandez, I don't know if you want to jump in on that one. What are your thoughts on how Palpatine can come back?
Look, I will come back in the studio next week once we've had a week to really sit on this stuff, and we can riff, we can go deep into some of these things.
Yeah.
But I keep hearing like that there's like these hidden messages in the trailer and in the voices and all this stuff. But all I hear in my head is the voice of Kathleen Kennedy saying, "Wipe them out."
Right.
You know, and but look, I'm excited about this whole thing. It's friggin' Star Wars. We got so much Star Wars announcements in the last 72 hours. I can't wait to see how some of these things play out, and I can't wait to get back in the studio with you, Reilly, and go deep into some Rule of Two stuff next week.
Did you guys hear the Darth Vader breathing there
that's
with Rey? So
felt.
that's like a hint of, okay, is this the new apprentice for the Palpatine?
Well, look,
that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm wondering.
But to be fair, but to be fair, I think there's been Darth Vader breathing in every single trailer that we've had since like 1999, you know, so
could be just something for the marketing, could be something to just get people who have Star Wars podcasts to talk about. Total misdirect, but just kind of doing something to have fun and to get everybody excited, which I think it essentially worked for me. I got very excited. And Fernandez, I see you're there. You're excited, and as you said, it's a good time to be a Star Wars fan.
It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. We also, let's not forget the hidden gem in all of this is that we got some new news about Vader Immortal Episode 2. They're going to start introducing Force powers into the game, which I cannot wait. They're expanding this amazing story that we got in Episode 1 with the Black Bishop and all of these cool little things that we learned in Episode 1, but the dojo is getting an upgrade. We're getting Force powers in the dojo and the ability to throw your saber and catch it. Something that we saw in the trailer. They're going to be adding that to the game. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. But yeah, man, it's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. Unfortunately, I got to head out because I'm already going to be late to my next thing.
Okay. Well, good luck on your Sith business, and I can't wait for you to return so we can go order some Big Macs and get into it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Dennis, keep the seat warm for me, brother.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. That was Marc Fernandez and/or Marc Sidious joining us here for a little bit. Dennis, I'm glad you're here, man. Thank you for filling in.
No, I love talking Star Wars.
I know, man. We don't get enough of it from you. And so here we are now after one of the biggest weekends for Star Wars news this year because it's been kind of quiet out there. So I wanted to ask you just a random question off the top.
Sure.
What are you more excited about, Mandalorian or Rise of Skywalker?
The Mandalorian.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because
I love this though. This is a good thing. So tell me why.
Because it's something different that we haven't seen before. I mean, as much as I do really like The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, those are things that are familiar, right, to what we've seen before.
Right.
It has that same feel or whatnot, where The Mandalorian is something different. I talked about this in random side note, but I talked about finishing The Boys on Amazon, right?
Right.
And I called it the anti-MCU,
and
not as a criticism of the MCU because I love the MCU.
Sure.
It's that it's the opposite of that. It's not this kind of super big budgeted universe where it's for the masses. The Boys is not for people like that.
Right.
So in order for genres to keep surviving or franchises to keep surviving, they have to keep reinventing themselves and doing different things. And even the MCU, to a certain extent, they don't go super far. They kind of veer into, okay, let's make this one a heist film. Let's make this a little supernatural. Make this one a little horror.
Play with genres a little bit.
Yes. In Star Wars, we really haven't seen that, right?
Right.
Star Wars, I mean, obviously the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and then now we have the sequel trilogy. They are different,
right?
But they all still try and be the same thing. Where I remember the first time, playing the Knights of the Old Republic and getting this much more mature Star Wars story in there was like a revelation, and seeing where Star Wars could go beyond what we know. And I think the Mandalorian is that versus Rise of Skywalker. I think I have high hopes for it. I think it looks good. I was excited from the footage that we saw.
Right.
I just don't know if it's going to be anything different than what we have seen before.
That's fair.
It'll be exciting and fun, and then the Mandalorian is going to be something, I think, new.
Yeah, and I think that's I've heard that a lot, and a lot of people are saying that, and that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars is now branching out. We're getting the streaming services. We're getting Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series now, finally, and Mandalorian is kicking it off. It looks like a Western. I mean, there are shots straight out of a Western, and I love that about it. And to switch over to Rise of Skywalker, that's what I'm excited about, more than The Mandalorian. I've always been the movie guy, and I love what they're doing with the new sequel trilogy, and I love that we're getting whatever this dark Rey is, whether she's a clone, whether it's a vision, Creepio having the red eyes, doing that thing in a few shots, it just looks good, and I am totally on board with the Emperor because of what I said. It unites the saga.
I'm not against the Emperor.
No,
I'm
and
just
I think
wondering, when in the process did he
they
come
go,
in?
yeah.
And also what the tie to Snoke is, and why. That's the kind of stuff that needs to be explained in the third one, or they're just going to gloss over it.
Yeah, absolutely, I'm with you, and that's what I want too. I need to know and I really want this. Who the hell was Snoke? Why was Snoke this thing and then killed off so easily, which I loved. I thought that was a great move. It was a great power move by Kylo Ren to become Supreme Leader. Now, if we get a little bit of explanation of what Snoke was and it ties into the Emperor, whether it's, hey, he was my pawn, hey, I possessed him. There's a theory going out here right now. And so let's start there. I want to get your thoughts on this, Dennis. One of the theories of the Emperor is that he's basically haunting the Death Star, and that his presence is somewhat tied to the helmet of Darth Vader. Is that crazy? Does that make you go, like me with time travel in Episode 9, if that were to happen, there's this crazy theory that they're going to use time travel, grab Rey, make her Shmi Skywalker. I keep bringing this up. It's hysterical. Make her Shmi Skywalker, and then send her back in the past using the world between worlds. But then Dave Filoni said that it doesn't act as time travel. So thank God we're not going to get that. But my point is, there are some weird theories out there.
There are always weird theories.
And I'm wondering if this theory that Palpatine can haunt things, is that the version of the Sith Force Ghost? That he haunts certain items. And because Kylo Ren has the item of Darth Vader's helmet, somehow the Emperor could be there. Your thoughts on that?
God, I hope not.
Yeah. I know.
Sorry,
right?
no.
Yeah.
For me, like Palpatine coming back, he needs to be more than just a Force Ghost or whatever the Sith version of that is.
Yeah.
He needs to be a physical manifestation, whether he's been cloning himself like he was in the Dark Empire books and comic books. Or he finds a way to revive himself like they talked about Darth Plagueis. I don't want to do and some of these theories about even Rey being a clone of Luke or something. It's like clone means something, and it doesn't mean like a different version. A clone's supposed to be because I remember
a copy of the person.
Yes,
they're cloning.
in the Force Awakens, I remember people were like, Kylo Ren's a clone of Luke Skywalker. I'm like, really? He's like way taller than him and looks totally different. It's not a clone, right?
Right.
Clone's supposed to be, look, and then, there's been stories about failed clones, but they've looked and are almost like the other person, but little things are different and change.
Sure.
But I don't understand why a clone would be different gender, different height, different, you know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. This
is what's interesting is that we did talk about this this morning on Collider Live, and in Collider Live, Christian Harloff, host of Jedi Council, did do a lot of the reading when all the canon material came back. And so what was in the Aftermath books was learned there was a Sith temple on Jakku tied to the Emperor. So we brought that up. That's interesting. Put a pin on that. Then we have the it was going to open like this. Force Awakens was going to open with Luke's hand holding the lightsaber floating in space. And then JJ got rid of that. But that's still on the table. So what we were talking about at Collider Live is that Palpatine has essentially been trying to make the ultimate Force user to manipulate, possess. I don't know. I'm with you on I love Dark Empire, and I think there's going to be a cherry-picked version of something, whether clones of the Emperor and he jumps in there. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but your thoughts on that crazy theory that could Palpatine all this time have been trying to build the perfect Force user?
I like that one.
Okay, and that's one of them is Rey with the double lightsaber, but that would also explain what Christian's saying. I like this idea, is that that's a reason why Rey is so powerful right out of the gate, is that she's been modified. Like they created
like a genetic, a genetic version.
A genetic version.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's this great Twitter account. We did a whole show on it. This Luke's hand Twitter thing where they pulled images from the movies. It's like, look, it's her hand here, and it like they're tipping their cap at the fact that Rey is a clone of Luke's hand. Now, I don't know if it's completely. Then why wouldn't she look like Luke?
Like I think I have a problem with the terminology clone when it's like that. However, if they wanted to say that they took DNA from Luke's hand and DNA, let's say, from Anakin and like they formed
Darth
Maul, and even maybe the Emperor himself took some DNA from himself and merged together and
created Rey.
Yes, a genetically modified super Force user in Rey.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. I guess the term clone to me is not that doesn't really make sense.
Right, and I get what you're saying. And this, I've seen a lot of reactions on Twitter, and I've seen people talking here in the chat as well that could get a little too sci-fi-y. I don't know. Guess what? Star Wars has been built around clones. That was the whole thing. Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope said back in the Clone Wars. So we went, clones? Then we saw it in the prequels. They created Jango Fett. They took Jango Fett and they created their clone army.
And Boba Fett is a clone. He's just he's not really his son. He's his son, right?
Exactly. Son. Yeah. Exactly. So there's been precedent about this. I'm wondering if we could see it. And I think it's kind of cool to think that the Emperor put all these different things in a petri dish. Yeah. Anakin Skywalker, Darth Maul, Luke Skywalker, all these things.
I'm all for that.
That sounds cool to me. Yes. And then there are people out there and I get this. Rey having the identity of, I want my parents. I want to find out who they are. I got to go back to Jakku. I got to go back to Jakku. Nope. That's your past. Don't worry about it. Look forward, says Maz Kanata, right? All these things. And everybody's like, what? Isn't it great that Rey doesn't have to be connected to anybody, because that means in all of us, we're all Rey. We all have the power in us to do wonderful things. So I get the idea of you don't want to take away that kind of character arc. But what would it do if you found out you were actually a clone? That you don't have parents? That all this time something was put in you that you're like, no, you thought you had parents. Those filthy junk traders that Kylo Ren said in The Last Jedi was in fact the truth. But you were handed off. You were a clone handed to these filthy junk traders, and that's the world you lived in. That's some more deep shit that I think somebody, if you realized you're a clone, you're like, well, wait a minute. Now you're having a whole different kind of existential, extreme thing happen. I don't know if it's going to go there, but I like that idea. Everybody in the chat, start throwing in your own theories, and we will open the phone line soon, but getting back to this, your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I think it's an interesting avenue to pursue. I've been, on a side note that's related, I've been watching a lot of these documentaries on. Have you seen Three Identical Strangers?
Yes. Holy shit.
There's one called Twinsters. I just saw something on CNN where it was these two twins got switched at birth,
You're onto something, Dennis. Keep going.
So no, but I'm just thinking psychologically how that would make Rey feel to find out she's not alone, but at the same time, she was produced for this one purpose, and maybe whether she was handed off or got lost or stolen,
right?
As a child, and somehow was not sent into this the dark ways of the Force,
right?
That we get to see in this hopefully not a vision. It's gonna suck when we watch the movie. It's gonna be a vision. We're like,
I know. I hope it's not a vision. But you said something. And I'm hovering around twins. Yeah. Because there's an echo for you in Star Wars, right? Yeah. You had the twins, Luke and Leia. You had to hide them. You had to make sure that they get away from everything. And I see a lot of you in the chat. Yep. It's all about the execution. This sounds weird. This absolutely sounds weird. And as Harloff mentioned on Collider Live, which I agree with and we talked about for a while, it really is all about the execution. But this idea of twins, what if that Dark Rey is a twin of her, or two clones, one light, one dark? and they have to fight for a minute, and that who knows? I mean, I could see that happening. How does it have to do with Kylo Ren, though? I mean, there's a lot that I'm still surprised about because when she pulls out that Swiss Army knife of a lightsaber, I lost my mind. I don't know what it did for you just in the fandom.
It looked great. People were joking that it was the Samsung foldable phone.
Yeah, I saw
she,
that.
Like, folded it out.
Yep.
Also, people were talking about the Sith eyes. I looked at it. I didn't really see Sith eyes.
I didn't see him either.
The yellow eyes.
She looks pale. She looks
definitely
skinny.
looks pale.
She looks like it fits more as a clone for me, rather than a Vision, because there's something about her appearance that makes me actually think of that Dark Empire comic book. Because when the Emperor comes out of the cloning chambers. He looks pretty withered. He looks pretty weird, and I'm wondering if they're going to go down that road. But there's something about the twin thing that you said, Dennis, where I went, wait a minute, that's an echo. I could actually see that happening, but we will see. So I do want to open the phone lines right now because we did get a late start. We're going to try to take a couple of them before we close out the day. The Cape sent us a super chat. Ray is Homelander. I love it. I just got through a bunch of the boys. So
how far are you?
I'm about, I would say 5 episodes in.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's so good.
Wait till you finish
It's so great. And then I, of course, binged Mindhunter. So, but that's not Star Wars
That one,
talk.
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah, Mindhunter's fantastic. All right, so we will open those phone lines up. If you guys want to let me know with that lightsaber sound, we can take your calls. But right now, I'll go into the chat. Oh, hey, look at that. That is not the lightsabers.
No.
But we're on Collider Live now. Who do we got? Oh, my God, that was hysterical. So Joshua Gonzalez.
How's it going?
Oh, hey, we do have a caller. Wait a minute. I'm so confused. I'll take it, though.
No, it's all good.
What's your name? And you're on Rule of Two. Where are you from, and what's your question?
Awesome. Well, hey, guys, my name is Braden. I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona.
All right, representing Phoenix. So, Braden, what's your question for the day?
Well, me and my brother have been speculating theories all day, all the live long day. A couple of mine that have been jumping off, like obviously the twin sisters thing, because it's like you said, it's reflections, like or it's
the echoes.
Before.
Yeah,
the echoes. Yeah. I'm trying to think of all the possibilities that maybe Palpatine had split them up at birth, because we see in the teaser trailer. In Rey's Force Vision, we see the ship that's leaving Jakku. We see that little Rey who's left in the desert with Unkar Plot. And we see a ship that looks like the ship in the teaser trailer that we got back in Celebration. So I'm thinking maybe that's the second location that he drops off the, I guess, evil Rey.
Could be. Yeah,
Rey
that's not bad.
With an A. I don't know.
I like that idea.
It's not terrible. I don't know. I would like to think more of your thoughts on that one.
On if they were like twins, separated. Like one
twins or clones.
Twins. So maybe let's say they're clones and they were separated. And Rey was put on Jakku, and this one, here's where I think she is. She's been with the Emperor somewhere, being guarded by Sith troopers, and they finally are able to get there. And I believe that Rey is going to walk in there with Poe and Finn and Chewie, like we saw in the trailer. They're going to get to the Death Star, and she's going to be there. And that scene of her igniting the lightsaber is actually her guarding the Emperor. And maybe that's it. I don't know. That's just my headcanon going off the rails.
Yeah, I'm just also wondering, though, is like, as far as experiment goes, why would Palpatine drop off one on Jakku?
Why indeed? That's the big question, and I think that's what the movie is for, to be honest with you. I don't have the speculation capabilities. I don't know if it was... If we get rid of the Vision part, because Dennis, you and I are agreed, we don't like the Vision idea. No. I like the clone idea, so maybe it's, he wanted to... I don't know, maybe Luke knew something, maybe Leia knew something, and they were the ones that found it and took Rey and put her somewhere. But that is a good question, and there are echoes to this, so we'll see what the idea might be. But thank you for the call. We got another one in here. Hey, you're on Rule of Two. Who do we got?
Woohoo! My name is Jason.
Hey, Jason, and what is your question?
I'm calling because I just want to theorize about who Rey is in this whole wacky world and what the Emperor's doing.
We were just talking about it. Yeah, we're so Dennis and I are kind of on the clone bandwagon here.
Clone twin bandwagon.
Clone twin bandwagon. Where are you standing on this? Do you think that's a vision? Do you think Darth Rey is a clone? Do you think it's Rey herself falling to the dark side? What do you think?
I believe that is a clone, another clone. I think the vision from the cave is true in The Last Jedi.
Yep.
That's all a string of clones of Rey. And she does meet her mother on the other end, which is a mirror vision, not a petri dish.
Oh,
that it is
okay.
That Palpatine has been cloning Shmi.
No, you're going the
Now, I
Shmi
know this
route.
sounds weird.
Okay.
No, but only because
No,
Shmi
but
was
cloning
capable
Shmi.
of putting a Force baby into.
Right.
So he's trying to find a vessel capable of putting a Force baby into for him to inhabit again.
Okay, I like that. He clones Shmi, and then so basically Rey is being birthed from a clone of Shmi.
Rey is Shmi.
Rey is
He
Shmi.
wants to put a Force baby in her for him his spirit to inhabit.
Remember when? Okay, I like the clone element because we're getting rid of the world within worlds. I still don't like it. Though.
Yeah.
I
hate
still
the world within world.
I still don't like the idea of Shmi coming in this. You know, I don't know what it is, but it's all the execution. It really is. So
You're right.
I get it. I get it. Dennis, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is perhaps, they had the clone army before, right? They're like, let's find the best fighter that we can with Jango Fett, and let's clone him,
Yep.
and he'll be badass. Maybe Palpatine thought, what's better than a clone of badass fighters is a clone of badass Force users.
Right.
And then once he genetically developed this super Force user,
Sure.
So now it won't be like, ooh, there's like 1 Rey, 2 Rays, whatever, 5 Rey. Like, what if he had like an army of Rey clones?
Oh my God, we're getting it. That would be an echo to the Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's. I think it's something along the lines of the Emperor just knew that he was able to start cloning. He's been doing experiments, and it's somehow tied to the Outer Rim or the unknown region where maybe Snoke came from. He's been doing some stuff because we saw in Battlefront 2 the Emperor had a contingency plan. It all went into effect after the end of Return of the Jedi, and he might have started to, meddle around with, cloning, and we get this. But it's a great question. It's a great idea. Thank you for the call. I do want to address this super chat that came in because I did notice it, but after a few views of this, if you notice the shot of the starships, they are all Imperial and not New Order ships. Dennis, that was Sphinx Productions. Thank you for sending that in. Did you see all that great shot?
Yes.
I love the way it looks, but I noticed we got B-wings, Y-wings, A-wings, and X-wings all coming out of hyperspace, and it looks like they're getting ready to take on this armada of Star Destroyers that all look like they're Empire. So what do you think of that? Do you think that's what it is?
I think so. I think that's Palpatine's army that he's been amassing somewhere.
This is the contingency plan he sent. In the unknown regions, he's had the Empire waiting.
And
They've
building.
been waiting for this moment. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that super chat. We got another one here. Robbie Peppers Jr., if you look at Dark Rey's hand, she has Snoke's ring. I did not notice that. That is very interesting. What are your thoughts on that? So that would connect it to Snoke.
Yeah. That would be pretty cool, but they've got to tie it in and make it believable why she has it. Because, and also, like I said, is that a clone or is it the Rey that we know? Is it the Rey we know that for some reason after they killed Snoke, she picked it up?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Really?
Or is it something that Palpatine, if he has a connection to Snoke, gives out to whatever?
Right. Remains to be seen.
Yeah.
We got another caller in on Rule of Two. How are you? What's your name? And what do you got?
Hey, how you doing? My name is Calvin Shoemaker.
Hey, Calvin, how are you?
Hey, I'm all right. That damn lightsaber was awesome.
Yeah.
That lightsaber, man, I seen that. I watched that trailer this morning. Well, actually, when I got home from work,
Yeah.
I watched that trailer, and it killed me. It would kill me. It was
That
great.
was the one.
Anyway, But what I was going to ask you, I was like, man, what's up with Darth Bane, man? They're going to put some Darth Bane in this stuff.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
What are we going to get?
Yeah,
You
Darth
know what I
Bane.
mean?
Sorry. are you talking about this theory we're having here?
Mm-hmm.
We're going down this rabbit hole pretty hard, but this idea that Rey was cloned by powerful Force users. Would you want Darth Bane in the mix?
I don't like the clone theory.
Okay.
I haven't been listening to you guys today. I kind of woke up and I was just seeing what's going on, and I happened to catch the show. But I don't know what y'all talked about.
Right.
But I don't like this clone theory of Rey. I think that is just a vision of what could happen.
Yeah.
To Rey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Dennis.
It's not like,
Yeah, we brought that up, Dennis. Say again because you're with me. We don't like the vision idea because it's kind of like that bad dream.
Well, especially if they're going to show it in the trailer, right? It's a misdirection. It's for marketing purposes. It's like one of those things that gets you super excited and then ends up not happening. Like it happens all the time in a lot of movies, other franchises as well, where there's a really cool visual, but it was like a dream sequence, and they just show it to you, and you think a lot of cool things, and then when you watch the movie, you're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Well, and a lot of people are comparing it, and let me ask you this. The Empire Strikes Back, Luke goes in, and he basically fights Vader, but then we realized that he was fighting himself, and I thought it was always a metaphor for, you're going to fall to the dark side if you don't follow the Jedi path and do it, and it's like evil is in you, Luke, you're looking in a mirror, all that kind of stuff. Would you consider that moment in the cave on Dagobah a vision Luke had?
Yes.
Me too. Okay, so Rey could have the same thing.
Yeah.
And that, again, the execution. If she's having a vision of herself falling into the dark side and she fights him off, whether she returns to Octu and goes back in that cave and that's where it happens, who knows? But I think there's a lot of fun happening with the fans. When you saw that lightsaber, you lost your mind like I did too. Did we lose the caller? I think we did, but thank you for the call. I appreciate that. Garrett Higgins writes us on a super chat. Dark Rey is a vision that causes Kylo's sacrifice. I do like that. There are a lot of people talking about what Kylo Ren and how he's going to be here, and whether or not that clone of Rey, that dark side clone, might have Kylo Ren having to come back and be redeemed through that clone. You're on not Collider Live. You're on Rule of Two. Who do we got?
Travis.
Hey, Travis. What's your question today?
They keep calling Rey a clone.
Yeah.
I would compare it more to Zepetar from G.I. Joe, where they use all the DNA to make the perfect leader of Cobra.
Right. That's a great one.
Yeah. Where they comb. That's actually one of my favorites. Where they comb the world, finding all the great leaders of the past, and took the DNA and formed together. Yeah.
Hey,
that'd be great.
Why not? I mean, that's kind of where we were going. That's where we talked about it on Collider Live. I brought it up to Dennis here, and that's the idea of that he was using Luke's DNA, Anakin's DNA, maybe the Emperor, and he created the super Rey.
I'm down for the Serpentor theory.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. It was Serpentor. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that.
That's. I mean, I hate the word clone because clone, you think of
exact copy.
The clone, they're all exactly the same. Mm-hmm. But like taking the DNA and actually making, I like that theory better.
Yeah,
me too.
I do too. So thank you for that call. We're going to end it on just a couple of these super chats that will take us out. We don't need to take calls anymore because you guys have been throwing in some good questions here in the chat. Rey. So Matthew Hicks writes, Rey 2 is the Emperor's hand that was used to make a new with armor and with troopers, and also the Emperor's hand clone. I think the Emperor's hand is interesting because Mara Jade was known as the Emperor's hand in the sequel trilogy books by Timothy Zahn. So, what have we seen that Lucasfilm has done? They have cherry-picked off of their Legends stuff and kind of purposed it for these movies. So maybe, that's weird.
Yeah.
That sounded weird. So maybe that is a Mara Jade, but in the guise of Rey and all this stuff we were talking about. Thank you, Matthew Hicks, for that. I have another one from Jason Soto. How disappointed would you be if it was just a vision? Again, Dennis and I, we'd be disappointed, but maybe the execution, and it's a vision, and we go, wait a minute, that was really cool and poetic and enhanced the mythology. It is the execution. So I'm not going to say that, like, if she's a vision, that I would be bummed. I'm just saying that as a sci-fi guy and a Star Wars guy, I like the idea of a clone.
I would say, though, the money is on the vision. You know what I mean? I put a poll on my Twitter.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, asking what people thought. whether they thought it was actually Rey turning evil, a clone, or a Vision. Most people picked Vision because it's the most likely answer because it's like they're not really spoiling anything because you're just seeing something that is in a dream sequence.
Sure.
So
I get it. And we're gonna end the show with this. Thank you from Cinefinity and Beyond, who asked, what do you and Dennis want to see as the way or reason the Emperor is able to come back? Do you think Snoke was a conduit a la Voldemort? Now, I've seen this theory a little bit that it's like with the original Harry Potter where Professor Quill had Voldemort in the head. Basically, Voldemort was kind of possessing people. And some people have been saying this could be a theory that the Emperor is actually possessing people and Snoke was one of those people. What say you, Dennis?
I don't know if I want him to be connected to Snoke in that way, but I do like the idea of somehow reviving himself in a different manner. Not so much possessing people's bodies, but more like he did have bodies available that he created for himself to go into. And remember, even the poster that we saw, which there was a weird like controversy because I guess Palpatine was like, I guess it was from a picture of a
toy.
Yeah, I saw that
too.
Toy.
Yeah.
Anyways, we see that picture, and it's the same physicality as the Palpatine we know. So I don't know, I don't think he's creating like younger versions of himself.
Well, that would be Dark Empire, which that's personally, to answer the question, that's what I would want to see. I would want to see them cherry pick from Dark Empire. There's clones of the Emperor, and he jumps into these bodies. Now, another theory I had was that maybe Snoke was actually the Emperor, and that Snoke, because it was decrepit and it looked so weird, is that he went by a different name, so didn't throw everybody off, but that was the Emperor in there, and then Kylo Ren killed him, and then maybe has to jump in another body. Again, that is Legends material.
Yeah.
That sounds friggin' crazy on paper. It's all about execution. But I think Snoke, and I think the way the Emperor comes back, we've seen Force Ghosts. We've seen it. We've accepted it. It was all the way back Force Ghosts were in the original trilogy. What is the dark side version of that? Is it possession like some people are theorizing? Is it haunting of a helmet, the Death Star, and he's doing it that way, that he's a disembodied voice? But this last trailer, you hear the Emperor talk, and he seems to be talking about Rey. And I'm wondering if the Emperor is actually physically there. I think he needs to be there.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's the last act of the movie is like they get there and like the Emperor's like, there was my plan, I'm back. I don't know. It all has to do with execution.
There's one more here.
One more, and we'll close it out here. The Star Wars Immortal. Rey is Palpatine's second creation, and Luke found out. He devised a plan with Ben Solo to find and kill him. Both movies are misdirects, and this whole time Kylo has been working with Luke. Holy shit. The Star Wars Immortal, that's a good one. Dennis, what are your thoughts on that?
It's an interesting concept because, like we mentioned with Dark Immortal, remember, Luke turns bad. He goes to the dark side, but it's all undercover work.
Right.
And this would be a similar thing. I just don't know if Kylo Ren would be that powerful enough to be able to
withstand
and also deceive Palpatine and Snoke.
Yeah.
So they couldn't tell that he was a good guy. Because you have to go deep, right?
Deep enough to kill your father.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he kills Han Solo. That's some deep undercover. That's a Beverly Hills Cop 2 reference for those asking. I think it's a great theory, but I think Kylo though fell to the dark side. I think something is going to happen here in this movie that he will be redeemed. I think it's in the Star Wars DNA that this Sith or this dark side user might get redeemed either through Leia. Maybe it's through Rey. Maybe this dark clone has something to do with it. Maybe the Emperor. That's what I like. I mean, I can speculate till the cows come home, but I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how the Emperor can come back. I have Dark Empire. That's about it. And all the new canon material, I don't know.
Some people are doing a kind of a similar theory to that, except for that it's Rey going deep undercover and really being on the good side, but she's like pretending to be evil. But like I said, much like with Kylo, I don't know if she's that powerful enough do that.
And that's a lot of story to get into the last movie of the saga. It really, I think we have to think that maybe we're not going so deep because a lot of these theories and ideas are going to require a lot of execution, a lot of story. And I think what makes sense is, hey, I'm the Emperor. I've been cloning and working on people. Here she is, double-sided lightsaber. I always wanted you, Rey. Here I am. This is how I came back. And it's like, oh, that's how it is. And however he comes back, that's really going to be what's going to stick the landing for this movie, I think, and a lot of the fans out there, because they're going to want to. I mean, look, you saw what happened with The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
When Star Wars takes chances, sometimes it can either hit really well or hit really bad. So we're going to see. So that'll do it. That's Rule of Two, episode 55. It's in the books. Thank you, everybody who joined us here in the live chat, who called us, who sent in the super chats. Dennis Tzeng, thank you very much for joining me on this Rule of Two episode. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero, on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Yeah, happy to hop aboard and talk Star Wars, especially after a weekend like this.
I know.
We got so much good stuff. We didn't even touch on Obi-Wan, even though we don't really have that many details for it yet.
Yeah, the Obi-Wan, we didn't really touch on that. It's because we've been talking about it for so long.
And we knew it was coming.
We knew it was coming. I'm excited. From what I understood, and some people have said that they were wondering, is it actually written? Yeah, it was written. We have heard over and over and over again that they were going to make the movie. They had the movie script ready, and then what I think happened was Solo happened. I think they pulled everything back.
Put the brakes on.
Put the brakes on, and they remade it. They took it. They probably chopped it up into 6 episodes, expanded it, added more into it. I think that's what happened, but believe me, I'm excited for Obi-Wan. How about you guys? Marc Fernandez will be back next week. We're going to go deep into Rule of Two and obviously Rise of Skywalker, Obi-Wan, Mandalorian. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. So thank you, everyone, for watching at home, for listening on the Jedi Council Podcast 1 feed. And remember to subscribe to Collider Videos. Every Monday you will see Rule of Two dropping at 5 p.m. PST, most times live. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Rise.